same spot. They're right on that outside line. And if you notice how I'm positioning the boat, the wind's coming from that direction. And what I'm actually doing, I'll let that fish go. What I'm actually doing, instead of fighting the wind, I'm actually letting the wind push the boat. And so what that does is, I feel like if you're more stealth, when you're fishing shallow like this, and I do consider this shallow because we're fishing to about 14 foot, 13 foot. And the reason I consider it shallow is because the water is extremely clear. You could see the bottom in 10, 12 foot of water. So you don't want to make a lot of noise. I feel like you get, now granted, if this wind picks up any more, we're like on that borderline to where it's tough to do it. But I like to go with the wind. I'm going to turn this boat around. The only reason I turned it around is so I don't blow right over that area. There's an outside edge here where these fish are sitting on this outside edge. But what I'm going to do once I turn around, I'm going to let that wind push me along the outside edge of the grass line, and I'm just going to pitch my jig. And the thing is, they'll be a little bit more aggressive when it's windy too, so you can get away with fishing a little bit faster than you would if it was calm with this water temperature. You're basically, once you dial in the right bait and the right fall rate, they will bite it if you put it in front of them. But I feel like you get a better presentation and you're more stealth. I'm not using the trolling motor. If it was really windy, you could even take your power poles and put the blades on the power poles and do that. I've done that before, and that's exceptional. It's kind of like a drift sock, and you can go down a stretch with the wind, and it works. Bassmaster Elite Pro Paul Mueller with the Bass University, and this segment is going to be talking about fishing a natural lake, clear water, a lot of vegetation, 48-degree water temperature. So we're approaching that time to where the colder the water, I feel like the strike zone gets smaller and smaller. But that's still a decent temperature, and you can still catch fish on a variety of different baits. The only difference is the weather can dictate the fish's mood and also how they relate to the cover and the terrain that they're using. This lake is a deep lake, but it doesn't have a lot of rock mixed in with the grass, which is what I always really like out of natural lakes if I can find that. But this lake is mostly a grass lake. It's got shallow rock, it's got deeper rock, but those fish relate to the grass. And now the other thing is the water's super, super clear. You can see the bottom, 10 plus foot of water. So that can make it challenging sometimes because the fish can see you, and we're fishing for largemouth. This lake has largemouth and smallmouth, but we are targeting largemouth. That's the topic. And basically, under these conditions, which it's a windy day, it's a post-frontal wind, it's pretty cold out, there's 3 baits that I'm going to try to simplify things. I want a couple baits to cover water, but I also have a cleanup bait.